children and all of them worth making my decisions based on last minute calls. I plead, but the devil wouldn't like it. He stabbed him in the back, dancing with desires only flame. Making my decision, I headed for the scenes, exiting only to find my dreams were real.
We're having a conversation with Les Green, who's an independent candidate for United States Congress. And Les, you have traveled around the area. Of course, your roots go deep here. If you will, kind of share a little bit about your background.
You know, I grew up in South Mississippi, but spent a lot of my childhood coming to Hernando. Grandparents are from here, passed away, but they're from here. My family's been here since the late 1800s, and so we are most definitely established here. And I think that we have a pretty good perspective on DeSoto County, because not only do we move here, I moved here after college, my wife and I settled here after college, but that we also get the perspective of the historical perspective, people living here a long time, mostly farmers and merchants working the soil, and so we're connected from a traditional standpoint, and so we can kind of see both sides of the coin as DeSoto County grows.
What can you do if you're elected to Congress from a federal level to ensure that our schools have the adequate resources they need to teach our children?
You know, the first thing is that to be an educator in the classroom, to really understand how the laws affect teachers, number one. And I think that part of the problem has been that a lot of legislation takes place, and it's being legislated from people in Washington or even some of our state legislators, I think, and you're missing the whole point. You're missing the input of the people that are affecting the most, the teachers. And there's just no doubt that, you know, that as we talk about education, as we fund education, you know, I don't have to go figure out who I'm going to talk to. I mean, I know the people, I know my own experiences and how it works and how it affects it, and so just being able to be connected to teachers that are in the classroom, administrators that are administrating at a deep level, who they are, the struggles that we face, I really think that it puts me in a unique position.
What is your view on immigration, and what kind of immigration reform, if any, do you feel like we need?
You know, we are a nation of immigrants. My family came here as immigrants at some point in this process, and so, you know, America has always been the place where people have come to be free, and it's still the best place on planet Earth to live, even in the middle of all of our struggle. But the first issue has got to be to close the borders up. I've had firsthand stories of drugs, guns being smuggled in, humans being trafficked. That's not anything we've all seen it on the news. But also, I think there is a threat for terrorists to be coming in the same way, and I think that's happening as well. And I think that unless we really face where we are and shore up the borders, whatever we need to do, you know, I've advocated that we need to send troops down there, because it's chaos is what it is.
You're very physically conservative and conservative in a lot of your views, and yet you decided to run as an independent. And why did you feel that need, you know, to kind of carve yourself out separate from any kind of party structure?
Well, you know, I just watched the last few congressional races in our district, and I just felt that it was clear to me that the parties had become the same, that they were the same, the bickering back and forth, the special interest on the sides that had gridlocked us. I believe that the American people have gotten trapped in the middle of that special interest, and I just felt to run a campaign of integrity and to be free to make the decisions that are best for America, not the special interests that are driving the sides, that I needed to run as an independent.
Talk a little bit for us, if you will, about the need for values, conservative values, physically, otherwise. A lot of people talk about the need for America to unite. There seems to be a lot of division between the two parties. As an independent, or do you see yourself uniquely positioned to bring about some kind of unity?
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that we're speaking on is the great divide in our nation. And you know, we've seen that some people talk about it in the House of Representatives, but we feel like it goes much deeper than that. It's, you know, families and towns being split by political parties that has not served us well. We call it a fissure that small crack. Most people, I think you would agree in the first district, probably agree on a lot of the same things, but I believe the political parties have split it apart and taken those small differences, and they have created a canyon between us, the American people. And so I believe that it's going to take an independent. I believe that I am, in my own campaign, am already seeing a uniting of people from just all races and economic groups. People are dialed in. People realize things are not working. We keep going back to the definition of insanity. And I felt like that just from being connected to people, just because me and my family spend a lot of our time, in fact we spend most of our spare time serving people, is that we felt like we were connected and we were hearing that people were ready for something different. And I believe it will take an independent.
Share with us, if you will, what personal characteristics you feel like you would bring to the job as a United States Congressman.
You know, I think one of the things that I bring is an understanding of accountability. I understand the importance of accountability in my own life. And so I think that when you understand how important it is to have people of value and virtue and integrity speaking into your life, then it holds you accountable to that same standard.
What is foremost on their minds?
You know, we feel like that one of the foremost things on their mind are the issues that we're running on, which are job creation. Our borders are a concern for people, and obviously borders, job creation, and our fiscal irresponsibility of our federal government. People feel oppressed by the debt that are leaving their children and grandchildren, not even so much for us necessarily, but just the prosperity that we're robbing from their children. And it's not just in DeSoto County, it's not just traditionally Republicans or traditionally Democrats, it is everywhere I go.
The Obama administration is trying to make the argument that by not extending the tax cuts for the wealthiest, that would somehow shore up our national deficit. Do you share that view, and do you feel like the Bush tax cuts need to be extended?
I think that 75% of those tax cuts deal directly with small business. And regardless of what the issue is with your highest income earners, that the bottom line is that we need jobs. And every recession that we've ever come out of has been because small businesses started hiring jobs. And there's a whole lot in the whole economics of this I could go into, but the bottom line is that if we don't create an environment that creates confidence in our small business, they're not going to hire people. And for them to play politics on both sides of the issue with small tax cuts for small business is a travesty, and it continues the policy of 3+ years of not doing anything for small business.
There's been some discussions about the need for term limits. Can you share with us your views on that? If you think term limits are a good idea, a bad idea, what's your view on
How
that?
much time do you have? You know, I believe that I am most definitely for term limits, but I also believe that if people with integrity understand that power corrupts, and that you cannot go up into a system in Washington, D.C. and spend 20 or 30 years, well really power corrupts at any level, but 20 or 30 years in Washington and walk away unscathed. And so we just feel like that politicians and even citizen legislators need to understand that you need to go up there to do your job and come back home.
What changes would you like to see as far as our health care policy? As we know, some states are opting to dismantle the recently passed health care legislation. What, if any, changes do you feel like need to be made with the legislation that was recently passed?
Well, I think it needs to be repealed. I think that it's created chaos. It's certainly caused uncertainty in the business environment, cost structures that people really don't even know what it's going to cost. Your entrepreneurs who are normally keep that pipeline of jobs being created in America are concerned. They're not apt to step out into a new venture when they don't know the cost and what it's going to cost them. And so just from a job perspective, it's been confidence. It keeps coming back to confidence, a lack of confidence because of some of the things Congress has done. And so, so I would be for repealing it. I think there's got to be issues in the middle. There's always us in the middle. For me and my family, it is our largest expense every month is our health care costs, and we have a healthy family.